Hello, everyone. Welcome to this very special edition of Dream Leapers with Harriette Cole. Yep, I'm Harriette Cole, and with me are the creators of Vontélle Eyewear. These amazing women, Tracy V and Nancy Harris.
Yes.
And they are best friends who took best friend to another level by creating a business that is now 5 years strong. And we all are wearing eyewear that is the fruit of their creativity. So this year, I decided that what I'm focused on is celebrating women, amplifying women's voices, showing the power, beauty, and in this case, focus of women. And we are doing this here at Cohen's Fashion Optical. You see their signage in the back. This is where I get my glasses. This particular store, which is at 50 East 42nd Street in New York City, in the neighborhood of Grand Central, is where I've been coming for the past few years. And we've been talking about making an event together and pushed go for this fall and decided that we would celebrate a small women-owned eyewear company at this business that has been established since 1927. Is that right? 1927. They have more than 100 Cohen's Fashion Optical stores in the Northeast of America, and I think even beyond, right? And so we wanted to be able to show the power of coming together and celebrating our creativity and also bringing a lot of folks in to try on the glasses. If people love them, they can buy them. They've been buying them. We have been buying them, I should say, and wanted to take this moment to learn the story of Vontélle. So Tracy, I'd like to start with you. And so Dream Leapers is all about helping people to access and activate their dreams. I've been doing this program since 2016 and having an interview opportunity almost that long. And what I often talk to people about is you can't just have a dream, but you have to do something. You can't just say, I want to do something, but you have to put forth the effort. One of the things that I teach my clients is if you devote 1 hour every day, including weekends, on what your dream is, then by the end of a week, you have something. At the end of a month, you have something more. And, after a few months, you can understand what you've got and where you can take it. But you start with the dream. How did the dream of Vontélle happen?
I lost a pair of glasses.
Okay.
And once you lose your glasses, you go through all the stages of emotions: hate, anger, upset. I need my glasses. I wear them all day.
Or blindness.
Yes. And when I went to look for a replacement pair, they were all too tight and too small. And I was just frustrated that why do I have to wear tight glasses? I have to wear them all day. And I called my best friend. This is what you do when you complain about stuff. And I called Nancy and I complained. And she said, oh, you're right. Glasses hurt my face too because I have a low nose bridge. And she too had lost a pair of glasses within a few months of me. And she realized, what I was complaining about. She said, my mom has marks on her face as well. And
sometimes those marks that on brown skin, they darken and they don't ever go away.
They don't ever go away. You just have to put makeup on to cover it. It doesn't go away. And that's because the bridges of the nose is too tight and too small. And then I hung up with Nancy because I just complained and I unleashed and that was it. And then 3 days later, she calls me back. We're going to Paris. Pack your bags.
Nobody said that to me yet. I want to go to Paris.
Well, I thought that's what best friends did. They just, So she called and complained. And for me, it was also about culture. One of the things I realized is that in the eyewear industry, it was devoid of anything that looked like us. We didn't have any patterns. We didn't have any textiles. And so I wanted to marry the two, having better style fit as well as having glasses that represented the African diaspora. I happen to be Caribbean. Tracy happens to have Latin background and heritage. And I thought it'd be beautiful to be able to do the two things together. So what I ended up doing is I looked online, saw a whole bunch of research, that there was an eyewear expo overseas in Paris, France. And I was like, let me not waste any time because literally it was 3 weeks out. And, plane tickets being the way they are, I was like, well, let me book it now and just call her. And she was complaining about that. She was like, "We just took a vacation. I can't leave again." And I was like, "It's 4 days. We can do this. Let's just go." And so she agreed, and here we are today. So, but one of the major things I would like to point out is that there were about 37,000 people, according to Statista, which is the eyewear industry research paper, and there were 37,000 people in attendance, manufacturers, designers, frame makers, but none of them there look like us. And so that was not one. So there, and I'm talking about wall to wall vendors, manufacturers, designers, you name it, the gamut. None of them look like us. The maybe 20 that we came across were eye doctors there to buy glasses wholesale. And they were there from Africa. And they were also buying glasses that, again, did not fit their faces. And Tracy and I just encountered that again this year, 4 years later, after seeing those people that we met in 2019, and it has not changed. So this industry, we are invisible. It's devoid of anyone that looks like us, and that even cements why we have to be here, because still, even with us, we're not making a drop in the bucket.
Right.
People don't realize, and it's not a black and white thing, it's
Right.
a human thing. We are not, Tracy says this all the time, we're not a monolith people. People in general, they have different diverse facial features, and you can't ignore that. That's just a cultural thing. It's where we come from. So when you really get down to it, that's why we have to be here.
So interesting. This is reminding me. So I often say I've had 39 lives. In one of them, early on, I was at Essence Magazine for a long time. I ran the lifestyle department and later the fashion department. And while in the fashion department, I had the opportunity to develop a bunch of licenses for them. That included eyewear. We did hosiery, butterick patterns, and eyewear. And I was behind the scenes picking all those things. And we had, I don't remember which company it was one of the big eyewear companies that we worked with. And we did this. We picked what would fit the bridge, it had the longer temple and all the different things that you've talked about. But this was like 35 years ago. So there was a line. Some people may even remember Essence Eyewear was a very successful brand because Essence is what it is, and they sold all over the United States. But I think it just, perhaps as that brand changed, it ended. This is one of the things that I've noticed. Like in the late 80s and 90s, there was this upsurge of, they called it Afrocentricity. There were a lot of businesses, a lot of interest in celebrating Black culture in lots of different ways. It included eyewear. Do you think that's happening again? Do you think that it's a trend, or do you feel somewhat alone?
I think that the customer is more vocal than before.
Okay.
We are starting to go into the stores and say, this doesn't fit, or this is just too tight. I need something else. And the more the customer is saying that, the more people are coming out. There's a couple other Black-owned brands and other companies who are not Black-owned, but they're starting to make larger sizes because they're starting to realize that the customer is like, you gotta make it for the customers, right? And Americans are bigger. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, the steroids in our food and everything that we're eating, we're bigger than we were before. I look at my mom and my grandmom and their sizes when they were our age compared to how we look today. So I do think the trend is coming because more people are vocal. Yeah. We have more things open to us. It's not like kind of like secret where only one person makes the donuts and they only know how to do it. You have access, like me and Nancy went to Paris on our own, right? So you have access, you have the internet, you have research available to you. We can Google anything. So because of that, it's opening doors in all businesses, not just in eyewear. I mean, clothing is made larger, shoes. I mean, now men who have size, my son wears a 13, 14, he can get shoes that fit him. So it's starting to expand. I think the trend of having things for larger Americans and people around the world is starting to happen.
So what about you all have chosen patterns and designs that invoke African heritage and African American heritage. Why that choice, and how are those particular patterns being received?
So one of the things when we graduated from college, we have the stole that's around our
Yeah.
neck, and that stole is always representative of the Rand design. And so I thought to myself, this would be absolutely beautiful. Tracy actually just had on the glasses that were the that actually have the kente pattern.
Right.
But so we know that even through college, if you went to an HBCU, we celebrated patterns and cultures. We wore head wraps that were beautiful, that represented the African diaspora. If you were Caribbean, you had the flower patterns and the multicultural, you had the flags and everything that represented where you came from, because you're proud of that heritage. And we wanted to show that we're proud of these of our heritage. And who is the person, who are the people who set the trends? Us. Our patterns go everywhere. You know, I see people with beautiful patterns and suits nowadays, even my jacket that I have on right here. People love our patterns, they love our textiles. So I thought, you know what? Let's put that on our eyewear and make glasses that can show and express this. And we are the ones to do it first, right? We're doing it, not someone else from another culture, but Tracy and myself. We're bringing our culture to the forefront, and that was important.
And are those the ones that have these different patterns on them? Are they among the more popular?
Very
frames?
popular. I was telling you, I went out the other night to the Apollo Theater for a show, and in our row there was a lady wearing the yellow kentes, and I just like was so happy. So yes, we see a lot of people want the cultural. They want the glasses. The ones that you have on has another Ankara print. People love it. They love seeing themselves in their clothing, in their design, in their glasses. So I think and they want plain stuff too. And even the tortoise shell, you can do it in a funky color, and it still looks great. So I've noticed that all the designs that we've been putting together, we have found. I mean, one of our very first pair is a full Ankara print, sold out. Like people beg us for those, we can't keep them in. So they love it. I mean, they want to show their pride in what they wear every day.
So you've been in business now for 5 years. That is a short time to reach the reach that you have had. Tell us where your glasses are sold and how you were able to build in this way.
Yeah, so it started out as a slow build. Tracy and we wanted the company to strictly be online. We thought that we could just do that and we'd be extremely successful.
And this was during COVID,
This
right?
was during the pandemic, and so that did not happen. And one of the things we've realized that you have two separate audiences. One that wants to go into a store like a Cohen's Optical, and they want to try the glasses on for themselves because they want to feel and touch and be able to see if they fit their faces, and they should, and rightly they should. And then you have those who are willing to do it direct to consumer. They'll buy it online. And we also have a great program on our website that you can try on and do it virtually from the comfort of your home.
So you use technology.
So we have technology. We have great technology. However, the audience is split down the middle. So we are sold at America's Best. So we have, we're also in Shop Bop. We're also in we're about to be in Sam's Club. We have a lot of independent stores that carry us, Cohen's Optical. So we're growing the brand. We have a lot of different layers and places that carry us, and then on our website. And then, for our Cohen's Opticals and things like that, we have brands that we sell that are just found only at a Cohen's Optical, which is really great. And then brands that are selected in styles that are on our website. So you have to come here to actually see the styles that you can get that exist, that you can purchase, only at a Cohen's Optical. That is a Vontélle brand. So we split it in half. We want people to a little bit of mystique. So you have to come into the store so you can see exactly what it is that we have. But we have various places, like I said, that carries our brand.
And you also have made collabs. And in recent years, that's been one way that designers have stayed fresh and also created innovation, even if they are a brand that's been around for a while. As a new brand, how have collabs been important to you, and what collabs can you point to that you've
No. Collaborations are the most important because it expands your brand, it expands your audience. So by doing a pair of glasses with Harlem Haberdashery, right? They have been around for years, dressing all the celebs and all the R&B, hip hop. That has been great, right? We got Fat Joe in these glasses,
Yep.
right? So we did a collab with Kadeem Hardison. He found us.
Okay, give me those.
Oh yes, you have to put these on. We
Okay,
did
look.
a collab with Kadeem Hardison, famous from a different world. He used to wear the flip up glasses
Remember?
on the show. He found us. He loved the fact that we went to a HBCU. We went to Morgan State University, and we do the business. And we're from Brooklyn, and he was born in Brooklyn. So doing a collab with him gives us a lot of reach. These are the hot sellers. We can't keep those as well. And we've done collaborations.
And they're really light.
They're really
I
light.
should also point out, just as someone who wears glasses and I have a significant prescription, often the prescription is heavy.
Yes.
So your glasses are very light. And what are the other things that happen with your glasses?
So we purposely make them light because, again, it's all about not having the indentations on your nose and on your cheeks. And then we want the temples to be longer so they're not pressing on your lymph node behind your ear. That's if they're too tight and they're pressing, that's how you often get headaches from your glasses. You don't realize your glasses are giving you the cause of the headache. And then if your width is not wide enough, you ever see people with those lines or they put rubber bands on the end? That's because, again, they're too narrow and too tight. We have larger cheekbones and larger noses and rounder heads. So you want glasses that fit and you want them to be comfortable because most of us, like myself, I have to wear glasses all day long.
Me too.
I cannot see without them, and I cannot wear contacts because I have a rare form of diabetes, and it's really hard. So if you have diabetes or glaucoma or retinopathy, all these different types of diseases, it's really hard for people to wear contacts. So glasses are the only game in town. And you want them to fit good and feel light. So
the best thing that happened to you was losing those glasses.
That was the best thing that happened to me.
It was an expensive mistake, but ended up being a treasure, right?
It's a treasure. It changed my life. I mean, I went from working at a hospital to now running my own business. So it's amazing.
So you all are best friends. You know, there are plenty of people who will say that friends doing business together is not necessarily a match made in heaven. It seems like it's working for you two. Why?
It works because we know each other. It's almost like a marriage, and Tracy and I are like sisters. So it really helps that we know our strengths and our weaknesses. And if you can play on those two things, you can build a really monumental business. And what we're trying to do and what we're doing is building a legacy, because this brand will be around whether we're here or not. And that's the end game here.
And what is the plan for growth? We're at 5 years. That's often a point where you look back and you look forward.
So we want to continue to grow the brand. Again, being here today with Cohen's Fashion Optical is another way, but they have over 100 stores. We want to be able to be in all their stores.
Did you hear that?
Yes, in all their stores. We are now partnering, trying to get government contracts, right? So we know that a lot of the brands do glasses for the VA and for the Peace Corps. So we want to apply for those bids and as well be selected to make larger size glasses for their military, for their people. We're now going to be working with the Department of Education, New York City Department of Education. We got a contract with them. It just got it. And we'll be going into schools and giving glasses for the children, K through 12. So that it will be a great opportunity. And then the next thing is to go abroad. So we were just in Paris again for our reunion from the first time we went. And we met some UK distributors and some South African, and they love the patterns and the designs. So hopefully in a couple months, we'll be able to say, hey, we're in the UK, we're in London, go get your glasses.
So you mentioned when you talk about our faces, so 3 of us are people of African descent, and they fit our faces, but also because there are people in this room who are of Asian descent, of Latin descent, who they're fitting their faces to. So can you just talk about what kind of research did you do to figure out what works for different faces and how broadly your glasses are fitting people?
So we did a lot of research, actually. And luckily for me and Nancy, we have a wide net of friends of all different backgrounds. And it was helpful for us because we started looking at not race or anything, but the features. So the cheekbones, right? So if you have high cheekbones, you need lenses that cut you at the cheekbone so it won't dig in. So we had to do shapes that way. If you have a low nose bridge, Nancy has a low nose bridge, so does a lot of Asian folks that we have friends, so we use their faces as well. If you have like a round kind of, we call it a pancake face, also Asians have that kind of face as well. We wanted to make sure that the lenses didn't dig again also into your cheeks. So we looked at all the different shapes, Hispanic, I mean, Caribbean, everything. And we started to make the signs based on those shapes. So there's not one pair that would fit everyone, but we have several. We have over 120 SKUs now. You will find a pair that fit your face.
And you also make glasses for children. So that is an interesting addition pretty early on. How did that happen?
So we ended up on a call through a mutual friend who told us that there was a phone call that was happening with individuals who are in the eyewear industry. And on that call were some really heavy hitters, including somebody who's now our mentor. But one of those people on the call was Nickelodeon. And it happened to be a Zoom call. So it was at the height of the pandemic. Tracy and I had no clue on how to work Zoom. We didn't even know the chat existed. So here we are texting each other, and I'm like, you take the first half of the list, I'll take the second half, and we'll write down everybody's name and numbers. So we were handwriting everything and screenshotting as much as we could. And, Nickelodeon also did the same. They reached out to us and said, we checked out your designs. We love what it is that you do. Would you be interested in doing a licensing agreement with us? And Tracy and I, we were like, absolutely, positively,
Oh,
yes,
what do we think, right?
we'll do this. And then when we hung up, we were like, so what does that entail?
We didn't know.
So we called our attorney, who immediately gave us the, 411 on what it was that we needed to do and how to manage this. And she walked us through the process, and we ended up with having a Nickelodeon license. So we do Paw Patrol, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is about to launch now. We have Rugrats. We have Baby Shark. We have so many beautiful pairs of glasses. So if you go to the site, you'll see that we have that, as well as Nivea's Magic Glasses, which is another little girl who also had a eye disease from birth, a defect. And so we made glasses for her. She wrote a book. So we're really proud to have two different licenses, one with a little girl and one with a major organization, which just goes to show that we have the ability to go across the spectrum. If we see something that we're really interested and passionate about, we can go for it. We don't have to check with 50 other people. It's our decision on how we move forward with stuff like that.
And we sell the Nickelodeon and Nivea on Amazon and Walmart. So we have other distribution that way too.
Yeah. And so just for people who are interested in deal making, how long is that contract?
They just extended us.
Okay, so
we did so well that they just extended us.
That's good. That's good. And for your collabs, typically, because you've made quite a few collabs, what is the length of time that you make those collabs, and then how do you decide whether you re-up?
They're on average 2 to 3 years. So we just did everybody these last couple of years, and several of them have already come back and they want to extend and do other styles. So that's great for us. So we are learning as we go along on how long should it be, where should we market, how do we market together. And that's really been helpful for us to actually, like I said, expand the market, because if Kadeem has a built-in audience, I mean, the Dwayne Wade, they follow him. He did one interview and we sold out the first day. So it's really good to have those collaborations where they bring your audience to Vontélle and vice versa.
And for him, it's interesting because many of us know him from a different world. That's where
Dwayne Wayne.
That's where those glasses come from. But he has reincarnated with, my daughter was watching him as, I don't even remember what the show is, but he's got,
on the Shy, I think he's on.
And now, so he's had these reincarnations over time. So it's interesting to pick someone like that. How do you make the choices for your collabs?
Well, he called us.
Come on in.
He called us. Fortunately, we received a message on our LinkedIn and didn't know if it was real or not. And so,
I can imagine that.
We're like, who is this person? And it happened to be his manager, Jace. And Jace, Tracy was like, respond. See, we respond to everybody first and foremost.
Good.
Respond
So
to everyone.
we respond
That's
to
the
everybody
first.
because you don't know who anyone is, and you just want to, find out. So we ended up checking it out, and when we did, it was the real deal. So we ended up getting on a Zoom call once again with Kadeem Hardison, Wayne, from A Different World, and a host of other shows. And he ended up loving us because, one, like Tracy said, we are HBCU grads. We are from Brooklyn. Well, we live in Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn, and Tracy lives in Brooklyn now. So the whole thing was, everything made sense for him for what it is that we're doing. And I wear designers, and we always say he should have done this a lot sooner, but we're glad he waited for us.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
And you all come out of the corporate world, which can be very different from the entrepreneurial world. What would you say are lessons and experiences that you've had from your corporate life that you are using to build your business today?
I would have to say everything that I've done in the past, whether it was corporate and I always had an entrepreneurial mindset. I had a publishing company years ago. Tracy had her own accounting tax business in the past. All of those lessons that we learned from corporate down to working in procurement and publishing books and working for the Harlem Book Fair and all these individual things led us to where we are today. I was able to know how to source and do procurements. Tracy was able to do all of the finance and business plans. So it was like a setup and a slam dunk, to be quite honest. It's like you set up the shot and you almost have no way of missing unless you do it with your eyes closed, and we're eyes wide open. So
the experience helps you.
Yeah,
I don't think most entrepreneurs would say something was a slam dunk, though.
Yeah, no. So it's not really a slam dunk, but you know what? It's a great setup to succeed and to win. And
it's the right mindset,
it's
for
the
sure.
right mindset.
You have experience. This is our second act. We might look young, but we're not young. So by having careers beforehand, you understand contracts, you understand negotiations. Literally, I negotiate every single thing. So someone comes to me, well, we'll pay you this. Like, how about this? How about a little bit higher? How about a little bit faster? How about this rate?
And your background is finance.
My background is finance. So you know how to negotiate. You know how to read contracts. Have your lawyer is the most important thing. Have a lawyer. That's day one. But once you have all those things in place, a lot of it goes with gut feeling. We pick our collaborations or who we work with by gut as well, but we make sure that the dollars and cents makes sense first. We don't do things, even though we might want to really do it and it sounds great. And we had some of those opportunities with even bigger celebrities, but the dollars and cents didn't make sense. And at the end of the day, it's a business. We have to make money. So I always say, let's look at the dollars first. Let's talk to our attorneys. Let's make sure this makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense, it was a great opportunity to have this conversation.
So as women in the eyewear business, as Black women in the eyewear business, you said when you were walking those floors in Paris, there was nobody who looked like you. Have you run into people trying to dumb you down, give you a bad deal, believe that you don't know what you're doing, and so, try to cheat you?
Definitely. I mean, early on when we first started, we got really high prices for the manufacturing of the glasses. And again, I think the guy who was coming up with this to us didn't realize we did our research. So, they're going to try, and, that's their job, I think, to kind of make as much as they can. I always don't take emotion into it. It's a business. Everybody wants to make money, right? And if you don't know your research, then they'll pull the wool over your eyes, right? So it behooves you as a business person to know what the prices are, do your research, know how to negotiate. And it's okay if it doesn't. I'm always okay. I live by the motto, ask for what you want. I've always lived by that motto. So I ask for what I want. If I don't get it, and if that's not the deal for me, I walk away.
And it's okay to not take the first deal that's offered to you. Negotiate and know that you're worth it.
Well, and so, yes, I remember when I started my business, a number of people told me, whatever you think you should charge, ask for 3 times that, because women typically undercut ourselves. That it's hard to say what you really think you should charge. Did you have any fear of that?
Well,
Tracy says no.
I was a CFO, so that was my job, to always So I never shied away from what I wanted. And I always asked for the rate that I wanted. So I never was afraid to say, give me 10 times or whatever times, let them, I always ask for more anyway, knowing that they're going to bring it down, but I have a floor, right?
Yeah.
So you always ask for it. And Nancy sometimes would cringe, like, oh, she's going to go for it. I'm like, listen, I need 20%. What you going to do? And then they say, all right, I'm like, okay, we'll settle on 12. But the goal is to ask for the highest and then let them bring you down to where at least you have a floor.
And so 5 years in, what lessons would you share with people who are interested in starting a business now? I guess we'll never be out of COVID, but people are still beyond the pandemic, but the economy is still a little fragile. For people who are looking to start businesses today, what is your advice?
There's so many different things, but key things are to make sure you have a good bookkeeper and accounting, right? That's so very key because you can tank, you can overspend. There's so much that, you have to keep a budget. You have to know how much you really can spend versus how much you really have. An attorney, you must have a good attorney because once you start getting those contracts and you think you don't, oh, it's just a one pager, it's not going to be a big deal. It's a big deal because you can't back out at the end. They've got you, and now you end up paying when you could have just hired someone, paid them a couple $100s to avoid thousands and thousands of dollars of, heartbreak at the end. Your network, make sure that you really get out there and use everybody, your resources, and also be sure to join organizations that make sense and align with your brand. So they are trade organizations. If we're in the optical world, so there's the Vision Council, there's the Optical Women's Association. If you are in carpentry, if you are in, the auto, anything that you're in technical, those are the industries that you should really look at joining. And don't be afraid, like Tracy said, to ask for things from your friends and your network because they will open up doors for you quicker than you could, right? So if they, we know Harriette has connects in X, Y, and Z, we can go to her and she can give us an introduction. It's a lot faster than you leaning on what you think you know and then you don't get anywhere because those are hindrances for yourself.
And what about reputation? Because as you say, when you know people are willing to help you if they think that you're going to represent. And there are plenty of folks who have a good idea but aren't ready and haven't gotten to that level. What would you recommend to people in terms of being ready so that if they ask for an introduction, the person they're asking feels that it's worth it to give it?
Right. Well, I think you have to bring your plan, your whatever you're doing to the person that you're asking, even if it's a friend. I think if you just say, oh, I need you to get me into place, like, well, what do you have? We send a catalog, we send a deck, we send a pitch deck, we send so much stuff. They're like, wait a minute, you guys got too much stuff. But we made sure that we show this is what we're doing and how we're doing. We can send you samples, how many samples you need. We bring it in, right? When I worked with Anne Marie and Anna, I said, I'll bring the glasses, I'll bring everything. So we make sure we show. So when you have the product, you have what you're doing, then it makes it easier for anyone to help you. I think they can't help you if they have nothing to see or touch or show. If it's just an idea in your head, you're not ready. So write your business plan, right? People hate doing it, but I say write it out because you need to understand your return on investment, what you're doing, why you're doing it, who's your audience. Even if you don't know who your audience is, but who are you targeting? Mm-hmm. So we had a business plan early on, way before we even had the glasses made. Like, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to target. This is how we're going to do it. And when we had that document, then it was like, oh, now we got to switch this. This is not really right. Or this, but you need to plan it out. It can't just be a hunch. Because we start with an idea. It was a hunch. We walked the Paris floor and we said, well, we think we could do this. But it wasn't until we wrote everything out, started to get pricing, started to meet with the manufacturers. And when you put it all together, then you say, oh, I really can do this. And then I have a product, even if it's on a piece of paper, to give someone to show that I thought it out, that it's not just my hunch and my idea, right? You got to kind of show them that you thought it out.
I can imagine there are a lot of people who are small business owners and creators who never made that business plan, and they're cringing as you say that.
It's important.
How important?
I think it's important. I mean, you can do beauty, you can do makeup, you can do clothing, whatever you do, you need to kind of say, all right, my son, I'm going to use him. he wants to sell T-shirts, right? You know, all the kids, they want to sell. He's an artist. And then I said, all right, so how many shirts are you going to buy? And then I said, where are you going to sell it? I said, and are you going to ship it? How are you going to pay for shipping? And he was like, Mom, you're asking me too much. But basically, if once he lays it all out, I said, how much are you going to pay for ink? How much time are you going to spend making the shirts? And then I said, you got to really plan it out, because you make some shirts and then you sell a few, but then how do you sell the rest? How do you really get this going? So I think the business plan, it's painful to do it, but you must do it. And like I said, it could be an outline. It doesn't have to be a 50-page document, but I think you just, like you said, you pick your audience, how you're going to sell it. The same thing like I did to my son. How are you going to ship it? How are you going to do all this stuff?
Did he do it?
He's starting to now. He's like, I'm going to set up an Instagram store. I'm like, okay, get it together.
I also want to add that your business plan evolves as your business evolves. So it changes. It doesn't have to stay the same. Your executive summary changes. We didn't know at the beginning that we were going to be looking at government contracts and working with the DOE and licensing. So we had to put those things into the business plan. So every year there's another piece that's added. And there are things that we tried to do that didn't work that we pull away.
Mm-hmm.
So the business plan doesn't stay just as one. It's a template, but it evolves as you evolve with that business.
It's a dashboard. Think about a big whiteboard, and you said, this is what I'm selling. I'm selling glasses, I'm selling clothes, and then you got to put all those things in it, like shipping and delivery, and how you're going to do it, how much you're going to charge, because you don't know how much to charge if you don't have all those things down. So it's kind of, think of a big whiteboard and you write everything down. And then you change it every couple months, because you got to pivot as life really happens.
So we're about to move into 2025. You talked about some other things, but 25, what's the big goal?
All right, right now, international, going global is the biggest goal for us. We are this close, so we can taste it, and expanding in the U.S. with our optical partners like Cohen's Optical, America's Best, Saks Fifth Avenue, Shop Bop. So we want to continue growing. We don't want brick and mortar, because we realize that's just not our model, right? Because we did the dashboard and it costs a lot of money for us. But we have partners that already have the brick and mortar, and they need our glasses. So it's a great marriage. And I think as we grow with our partners, that will help Vontélle to scale even more in 2025.
Excellent. Anybody have questions? Any questions? Or yes?
As you were walking the floor in Paris and you didn't see anybody who looked like you, who became your inspiration?
We were our own inspiration, because I lost my glasses, right? So, and I knew that the glasses, you can go to all the name brand stores, they were still too short and too tight. So and then my son had to wear glasses, and he's like 6'4", and then my husband had to wear readers, and he has a larger nose bridge, and he was like, they're too tight on his nose. So we were our own inspiration. I think we walked the floors and it was just like, this is why everybody has indentations on their nose and on their faces, because no one here looks like us. And they're not making glasses for our features. And again, we started for African American and Hispanic features, but now we've been doing this for a couple of years. We realize it's for everybody who has a hard time finding glasses that fit.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
Where is the name Vontélle?
It's my middle name. I never used it ever. I always was Tracy V Green. And when we were in Paris, me and Nancy was trying to figure out what kind of name for the brand. And everybody there had French and Italian names. I was like, I have one. And I wanted to merge middle names, but Nancy didn't want to use her middle name. She hates it. So we just stopped with Vontélle.
Do you want to tell us what it is?
Yeah, then everyone here'd have to be wiped out.
Oh. And so Vontélle it is.
Vontélle it was. We stopped at that. That was it.
Any other questions? So guess what? We get to try on glasses now. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to Cohen's Fashion Optical for being such great partners. Actually, okay, Nala, I'm changing. Come on over here, girl.
Come on, Nala.
So this is Nala. Come on. So I told Nala that, yeah, come have a seat. So Nala is the person who's been helping me with my glasses for the past few years, and who had this great idea in the first place for us to come here and do this. I'm not going to make you feel uncomfortable. What I want you to do is to talk about how you help people figure out what is the right fit for them? Like what frames are right for them?
Well, I look at their style first of all, and then I look at their features. As she was saying, everybody has different features. You have to make sure that the bridge fits them. You have to make sure the size fits them. You also have to look at the prescription, make sure that the lenses aren't going to be too thick or too. So it's a lot of things you have to take into account when you're picking out glasses. It's not just people think glasses are just glasses. You know what I mean? I see it as a very important accessory. You know, the first thing people are going to see when they look at you is your glasses. So it has to fit you correctly. It has to look pretty on you, and it has to be a perfect size.
How challenging is it to find the perfect size? I mean, they were just talking about the different facial features and shapes, and that it was very hard for them to find. That's why they created this line. You have so many different brands here. Talk about that.
Well, like she was saying, the features, you have to look at the features. There are certain brands that are now starting to make things that are made for certain features. Like there are brands that are doing an Asian fit. They call it an Asian bridge. So, which is the bridge is a little bit wider, so it fits the features that the people who don't have much of a bridge. A lot of brands now are doing keyhole. Keyhole fits people who have more of a wider bridge. They are doing stuff for people who have larger heads and longer temples.
So is the industry becoming more inclusive?
It is. It is. It's a lot of companies and a lot of brands are starting to change up a little bit more. Before it was a lot of copy paste. All the frames looked exactly alike. I'm noticing, I've been in optical for about 10 years now, and I do notice a big change of a lot of brands are starting to really look at who's wearing these glasses. And there's a lot of companies like Vontélle that are coming out now, and people appreciate that because sometimes a person thinks, hey, am I the only one that looks weird in glasses? I had a gentleman come in this morning, for example. He came in and he's like, I need this size, this size, this size. And he was like kind of embarrassed and I can't find anything. And I'm like, I got it. And he smiled and he was so happy and he put on the glasses and he just looked at me like, how did you know what to find for me? And you have to make everybody feel important. Everybody's special. You know what I mean? Because like I said, not everybody's the same.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't know their style too. So how do you work with people when they don't know?
It's fun. I love it. I enjoy it actually. It's like a fashion show, and we give them a fashion show, and we make them feel special. It's like, okay, you don't know, let's try. We're trying a bunch of different brands, a bunch of different styles, different colors, and I enjoy when I see them looking in the mirror and they're smiling and they're happy, and it's like, oh wow, And I always call it, it's like a wedding dress when put on all these dresses and everything, and I always say, you're gonna say yes to these glasses, did we find the one? And it's so fun. Like I love what I do. It's not just glasses. There's a lot behind glasses. People think it's just something you put on your face. It's not. It's a very, very important accessory.
Wonderful. Well, yeah.
Best to respect.
It's very so everybody, thank you all. There are lots of folks here, and we are taping this to broadcast later. We live streamed a little earlier today. We now get to try on glasses. If you are not here, you can come to Cohen's Fashion Optical at 50 East 42nd Street to come and see Vontélle collection and try on. Know that everybody who's here, that you can have a free eye exam today if you don't have your prescription, so that you can pick frames and order your glasses right now if you'd like to. But let's have fun. Thank you, everybody.